AI hype is stalling, with stocks like Nvidia trading flat for the past 7 months. And some AI stocks have crashed, with AMD down over 50% from its all-time high reached last year. But don't count AMD out yet. Nvidia might be winning the AI game for now, but AMD has a secret card up its sleeve that could change the AI game forever. AMD might be a falling knife right now, but it could also be an incredible dip buying opportunity. Let's take a look at why AMD is falling and consider just how much lower the price might go. Then let's take a look at their upcoming AI chips and see why it might be a mistake to overlook AMD as a serious AI competitor. Finally, we'll take a look at AMD's fundamental analysis and technical analysis and come up with a price prediction for the future. For those of you who are new to this channel, my name is Stock Curry. I'm a former Merrill Lynch and Morgan Stanley investment banker, and I have over 25 years of trading experience. AMD just beat earnings expectations, and when they reported earnings, the stock initially rose on the news.
We are seeing a top and bottom line beat, EPS of $1.09. That's stronger than the street anticipated on $7.66 billion for the fourth quarter. In terms of Q4 gross margins, that came in at 54%, so also a little bit higher than what the street was anticipated. For guidance, Q1 coming in at $7.1 billion. Higher gross margins for Q1. They're anticipating it at 54%, which is slightly lower than estimates, but nonetheless still in line with what we saw with Q4.
But once people started looking into AMD a little bit closer, they were highly disappointed in their data center sales. AMD reported $3.86 billion in data center sales, which was up 69% on a year-over-year basis. However, analysts polled by FactSheet were predicting $4.14 billion in data center sales during the quarter, and that is why AMD stock fell. AMD is now trading at a 52-week low, and people are starting to wonder just how much further this falling knife will fall. But despite the earnings miss on AMD's data center revenue, the rest of the earnings were actually quite good. Earnings per share came in at $1.09 adjusted versus $1.08 expected, and revenue came in at $7.66 billion versus $7.53 billion expected. AMD said it expects $7.1 billion in sales in the first quarter, plus or minus $300 million, and it expects gross margin to be about 54%. Analysts had expected AMD to guide for revenue of $7 billion, so AMD not only beat earnings expectations for last quarter, they also beat earnings expectations for next quarter. For the full year, AMD's data center division revenue increased 94% to $12.6 billion. AMD said that $5 billion of those sales were from its brand new Instinct GPUs for AI. So how does a company that just beat earnings expectations and doubled their AI chip sales for the year see their stock fall to a new 52-week low? It all has to do with how poorly AMD is competing in the AI chip space. While Nvidia is leading the AI chip race with the fastest and best performing chips on the market, AMD's chips feel antiquated in comparison. And while AMD's sales are growing at a significant pace, they're not growing fast enough to keep up with investors' ludicrous expectations. But all of that is about to change, because AMD is about to unveil something that could completely change the AI game forever. AMD finished last year with only $5 billion in revenue from its AI chips, but AMD CEO expects the annual AI chip revenue to reach tens of billions of dollars in the coming years. And those expectations are because of what AMD is expected to release later this year. AMD just detailed their plans for their new Instinct AI GPU lineup, and their much anticipated MI350 chip will be released later this year. AMD's MI350 will be based on a 3 nanometer process node, offer up to 288 gigabytes of memory, and be a direct competitor to Nvidia's Blackwell lineup. For the first time in years, AMD is releasing a modern AI chip that will directly compete with Nvidia's best chips. And if AMD can release their chips at a lower price than Nvidia, AMD's revenue could skyrocket. AMD's current generation MI300 chips are already being used by Microsoft, IBM, and Meta. And with the strong customer feedback on their upcoming MI350 chip, AMD's sales could skyrocket. Imagine getting the same performance from Nvidia's Blackwell chip, but at a fraction of the cost. That is what AMD is about to release into the market later this year. And with Nvidia stock still trading near all-time highs, while AMD's stock trades at a 52-week low, investors are starting to wonder if now would be a good time to buy the dip on AMD. After all, Warren Buffett did say to be greedy when others are fearful. Nvidia stock is currently trading at a forward PE ratio of 43.6, with a 5-year forward PE ratio of 24.4. That is more than double the average technology forward PE ratio. And the reason I use forward PE ratios instead of trailing PE ratios is because forward PE ratios already consider the company's expected future growth, which means Nvidia's future growth is already priced into the stock. But compared to Nvidia's extremely high forward PE ratio of 43.6, AMD's forward PE ratio is only 23.1, nearly half of Nvidia's forward PE ratio. And compared to Nvidia's 5-year forward PE ratio of 24.4, AMD's 5-year forward PE ratio is only 12.8. That means Nvidia stock is twice as expensive as AMD. In other words, AMD would have to double in price in order to reach the same valuation as Nvidia based upon future expected earnings growth. And it's not just the fundamental analysis that makes AMD stock look dirt cheap right now. Technical analysis shows that the fall in AMD stock price could be coming to an end soon. While the daily chart looks like a complete disaster, the weekly chart shows a bottom may be coming for AMD soon. AMD is very close to approaching the 300-week EMA, which is the red line on this chart. With the exception of a brief dip below the 300 EMA at the bottom of the market in 2022, AMD has not fallen below the 300-week EMA in 10 years. The 300-week EMA currently sits at $100, which is the upper limit of where AMD could fall before bottoming out and starting to rise again. And if we look at the monthly chart on AMD, we see that the 100-month EMA is also a strong support level. Again, AMD has not fallen below the 100-month EMA in 10 years. The 100-month EMA is currently sitting at around $85, which is the lower limit of where AMD could fall before bottoming out and starting to rise again. So technical analysis is showing us that while AMD might continue to fall during the month of February, it is expected to bottom out at somewhere between $85 to $100 sometime in the next few weeks. Once it does bottom out, it should start rising again and could reach a new all-time high later this year. That means that anybody who buys AMD right now could potentially double their money this year. The catalyst for this will be the launch of AMD's new MI350 chip later this year. And anybody who's played the buy the hype, sell the news game long enough knows that you want to be buying the hype. Of course, this is no guarantee that you're going to make money. You will still have to do your own due diligence and decide for yourself if investing in AMD is right for you. Personally, I like the idea of buying AMD at any price under $100. While I would not trade options on the stock, I do like AMD as an investment for anybody who follows the advice of Warren Buffett and is greedy when others are fearful. And if you're looking for some short-term trading ideas, consider joining the Stock Dads Discord. Stock Dads employs over 30 full-time, professional, multi-millionaire traders who tell you every trade they make. Stock Dads traders had a 72% win rate and made an average profit of 53% per trade last year. And yes, those trades are shown live throughout the week. You can watch these professional traders live trading and join them in their trades. If you want to potentially make money like this in your portfolio also, consider joining the Stock Dads Discord. You can find more information about them in the first link in the description below.